I think the greatest question when it comes to religion these days is a question that I asked myself when I was a teenager. It didn't seem sensible that our faith and our dedication to faith would be so random. It would be like drawing lots out of a hat. So if I were born into an Orthodox Jewish family, then I'd be Orthodox Jewish. If I were born into a Catholic family, I'd be Catholic. Shiite family, I'd be Shiite. It's like, this doesn't make any sense. It can't be that random. Either there's a plan and it's a global plan that applies to all human beings, or there's no plan, in which case it really doesn't matter. And so for me, finding the Baha'i faith was really something that attracted me because of one of the principles of the Baha'i faith that really spoke to me. And that is the principle that all revelations are sent by the same creator, regardless of the name by which we know that creator, God, Allah, Yahweh, it doesn't matter, for the same purpose, which is to edify and educate us and to give us guidance that will conduce to our happiness. This is the thing we seem to miss, that the goal here is for us to live fulfilled, meaningful, and happy lives. And so the divine teachers that we all are familiar with, Moses, Buddha, Krishna, Zoroaster, Christ, the Prophet Muhammad, the Bab and Baha'u'llah, all came from the same source for the same purpose. Here, the Baha'i writings say that divine revelation is continual and progressive, that all the basic principles and spiritual teachings are in complete harmony, that their main aims and purposes are one and the same, that all the teachings of the various religions are facets of one truth. Think of a gem with different facets. That their functions are complementary. In other words, they do not seek to undermine each other. And that they differ only in the non-essential aspects of their doctrines, things like social laws that have to change from time to time to meet the exigencies of the age. If you're living in the desert 2,000 years ago, it's very different from living a modern life with all the modern amenities today. So you simply can't have the same laws. You have genetic engineering today, which you didn't have a couple of thousand years ago. There's so many tools and capacities that humanity has developed, and we need now remedies that fit the illnesses that mankind is suffering today. The purpose of all religion, according to the Baha'i writings, is to bring concord and harmony and to implement love in the world. In fact, Baha'u'llah, who is the prophet founder of the Baha'i Faith, who appeared in Iran in the mid-19th century, says that if religion is to be the cause of discord, if the remedy exacerbates the disease, then it's better not to have the remedy at all, right? So he says it's better to do without religion if religion is going to be the source of discord. To me, that was really interesting, right? Instead of someone trying to cram religion down your throat, it's like, look, if you're not seeing the benefits, the constructive benefits of religion, then hey, better not to take the medication. At least don't worsen the disease. Another very important element, and I'm going to cover this more in my talk, is that humanity goes through various stages of development, and that we are collectively now going through the throes of a very turbulent adolescence. I'm going to unpack this. I'm not going to talk about it more right now. I'll unpack it in a talk, and you'll see why it's important. Baha'u'llah has brought many remedies for the age today. So one of the principles of the faith is that science and religion must go hand in hand, because there are two paths to arriving at the truth. One through trial and error and experimentation, and the other through revelation. And that if science doesn't have religion to accord with it, then it spirals off into areas that are unethical and that do not serve humanity. And if religion is not tempered by science, then it falls into superstition, which is also destructive to human life. The independent investigation of truth is a must, according to the Baha'i writings. Baha'u'llah says that especially at this stage in human development, we each have the gift of understanding, which he says is one of the greatest gifts that the Creator has endowed all of us with, and that therefore we need to investigate truth for ourselves, see with our own eyes and not through the eyes of others. And then he says this line, which I've always found very compelling, that the faith of no one person can be conditioned by the faith of another. And here comes part of the answer to my question as a teenager. It doesn't depend on what my parents believed. I need to investigate the truth for myself and see what resonates within me and then pursue that path. So, as a result, there's another principle in the faith that we don't have clergy. There are no intermediaries between us and the revelation. So, we can read the revelation for ourselves, we can meditate and ponder on it, we can consult with each other about what it means, and basically have our own takeaways without any one person having the right to impose their interpretation on another. This also means that the faith is very united because we don't splinter into myriads of sects, each one headed by an individual who believes that their interpretation of the Word of God is the accurate and only one, and that everybody else is going to hell, for instance. So there's none of that in the Baha'i Faith. The central theme, I will end with this, the central theme of the Baha'i Faith is creating an awareness of the oneness of humanity, a oneness that applies to not only relationships between individuals, but also between states. This principle of oneness is really like a spiritual or social law, and we ignore it at our peril. It has to be woven into the fabric of all our societal institutions and structures and into their processes. It implies getting rid of all kinds of prejudices that are corrosive, and it implies getting rid of the concept of unfettered nationalism, which is killing us everywhere in the world. All right, Baha'is are very engaged not only in bettering their own lives, but almost more importantly, building community and in social transformation. This is a task that Baha'is all around the world are dedicated to, and there are programs, global programs for the moral education of children, the spiritual empowerment of youth, and the creating an understanding of how we can go about building a better world by engaging in public discourse and by taking social action that improves both the material and the spiritual lives of individuals. All right, I tried to hit some of the highlights. It doesn't do the faith justice. This was just the most cursory of introductions, but I warmly encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, to go and do research. There are plenty of resources online. Go to Baha'i.org and you will find plenty of materials. Go to Amazon and search for Baha'i. There are many books there. And the main thing I would do is first start with the revelation, the words of God, because that's what you resonate with.